Hello all, Nice Tail here, bringing you a knife review. I haven't had this one for the longest period of time, but I have carried it and used it a little bit. This is the One Track Mind Ire, which is a new knife this year. This is the first design from this company. And just out of the gate, this is pretty much a contender for knife of the year, as far as I'm concerned. it's that good. I knew it was going to be that good. The first one I got had a little bit of an issue. It had a little bit of up and down rock. I think it might have been some slip on the lock. I contacted them, no problem. They sent me a new one. I sent that one back. It was perfectly fine. And I don't expect that to be a common issue. This is OEM'd by Kunwu, and if you know their knives and what they tend to do, their quality is quite high, and it shows in this one. The other one was fantastic except for that little issue, and the only reason I even noticed is because I had a knife that had a lot more up and down play just before that one, so I was looking for it. So let's move this out of the way and get into specs so we can talk about this knife, because I absolutely love everything about it. You got, I believe they said the blade length is 3.5, but that's to the plunge. To the scales, it's 3 5/8. I mean, maybe it's a little bit under right up there, where it sticks the furthest out. Who knows? 8 3/8 overall. About 4 3/4 on the handle. Maybe just a hair over, maybe. Let's give you a comparison. Why do I have that sitting there? I don't know. This was what was sitting there, and it shouldn't have been. I don't know. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do with that, but I have an idea. Comparison to the Civivi Conspirator for the full size, the Civivi Elementum for the small knife. As you can see, this thing is bigger than both. I don't have a regular paramilitary 2, but I guess I can make this comparison too. Still, bigger. You're getting similar cutting edge to the paramilitary because of this large forward choil, but it is a little bit bigger. Just a... maybe not. Let's see. No. At least to this one. I don't know if the regular ones, not Tonto ones, are different, but it's about the same as a paramilitary, actually. Or PM2. I guess they're not paramilitaries, but it's all interchangeable, so who cares? The carry profile is pretty close to that PM2 height, and it is a bit thicker. As you can see, it's a decent bit thicker. This is contoured, titanium, carbon fiber, and I already said titanium. What am I doing? Because I've been doing it lately, 2 AA batteries for a general idea of what you're in relation. I mean, if you don't have a knife, or you don't have a knife to compare it to, and that's a pretty easy comparison to make, so I'm just going to use that occasionally. Hardware check. I'm pretty sure I already know all the answers to this, but T8. T8. The lock bar insert is T6. Everything seems to be T8. I'm gonna just solve the question of the hour and say it's probably T6. I mean, T8's underneath here too. Kumu does do that. Oh. The reverse filler tab is a T6. For the pocket clip. And we have, oh, Ooh, that's surprising me. 56 is underneath. Interesting. Interesting. I'm glad I took that off then. Well, I would prefer they all be T8s, of course. But seeing as I just did this without a problem, I will say this one doesn't feel like the deepest T6 I've ever felt. It's not tooled as deeply as potentially as it could be. I'm not having any issue with it. Have good tools, but I wonder why they chose to do that. Interesting. Because this is definitely T8 up here. So you will need a T6. That's unfortunate. That is some points away, honestly. Especially when you got my hopes up by already having T8s up on pretty much everything else. In fact, T8 pocket clip, but T6 filler. Interesting. Peculiar. Not a huge deal. They work just fine. I had no issues with them, but T6 can always be a pain in the butt. 4.6 ounces, not heavy at all whatsoever. Not an ounce an inch, but not bad. The calipers in my eternal fight with them. 555 thousandths behind the thickness on the handle scale. So it is a little bit on the thicker side. A lot of knives come in just at or under that half an inch kind of mark. 125 on the dot, apparently. Thousandths behind the blade stock. I keep jumping forward. I wanted to say blade stock and then behind the edge, and now it's I should have said handle, blade stock, and behind the edge. Behind the edge on mine. Oh, nope, I slipped down a little bit there. I slipped down a lot there. Hold on, it's fighting me. About 10 thousandths behind the edge. It is very thin. It is a hollow ground knife. And it is very thin. It does get... No, it really doesn't. I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought it felt like it got a little bit thicker faster, but... See? My eternal fight with these things. Stop it. I'm going to go up here, not that far behind the edge, and look at... Okay, for 16 thousandths, being about that far up the blade. Oh, wait, no. 15 thousandths, about that far up the blade. Yeah, okay, so it stays pretty thin. Assuming that stupid set of calipers is not screwing with me on every single one. Alright. We're finally through the specs. This has fought me more than I was expecting. Okay, what we're looking at here is we're looking at 20 CV, and Kunwu, being Kunwu, did it for this one at 61 to 62 HRC. It is pretty good for 20 CV. Let's be clear. My guess is the plain non-coated DLC blade was probably going to be closer to 62, while this one might be closer to 61, which 61 is acceptable for 20 CV. Everybody would like to see 61 to 63, but, I mean, 61 to 62 is pretty dang good. I'm okay with that. That's excellent. And with this geometry, it's going to accentuate what 20 CV should be doing, and that is performing cuts. Slicing, edge retention, that's what 20 CV can do when it's really, really well treated. And I'm sure it is, because Kunwu takes that very seriously. If you hadn't noticed, I'm raving about the knife and Kunwu because I like Kunwu. I like what they're doing. This is a satin, not a satin, well, yeah, I guess it's a satin, I don't know, it's a shiny DLC, it's polished slightly. It's reflective. It's not like mirror polish or anything, but it's really attractive. It is a fingerprint magnet, but it's worth it in my opinion, especially for this blacked out thing. I don't even normally like blacked out knives, but this was just yes all day. Now there are two other versions of this, both with plain blades, and one with carbon fiber like this, and one with micarta. Honestly, I kind of want to get one of those too, but they're sold out, which is unfortunate. But hopefully more to come, because this is the first design and first release from this company, so definitely hope there's more to come. You've got all of the opening mechanisms: thumb stud, thumb hole, or aperture, reverse flicking hole, whatever, and a front flipper, all of which work. The jimping is not my favorite kind of jimping. It's a little bit wider than I normally like, but there's no doubt that Kunwu figured out what they're doing, because this has just enough grip and it works fantastically. So this, while it may not be my favorite kind of jimping, is good jimping. It's the good kind of jimping. It works. And it provides a bit of traction too. They've really got that nailed down. I love the look of the blade. Plunge grind starts here, ends here. You have infinite life, all the life in the world. You have a giant, comfy forward finger choil. I mean, it's not giant, but it's allows you to sort of just ride it in a position where you're super comfortable. I'm not worried about hitting that edge from the angle it is, and I feel like I have a ton of control in every really position. The blade is, of course, slightly modified sheep's foot. It's pretty close to sheep's foot, but it has a little bit of belly, which is like an extremely utilitarian blade shape. And this one can pierce even maybe a little better than some sheep's feet that I've seen, just based on the shape of this thing. So yeah, honestly, this is wonderful and very, very useful. Moving on from there, we've got this. I'm still not 100% sure if these are technically true bolsters. Yeah, I guess they are. It is a bolster lock. It's got a frame lock underneath the scales. I guess these would be proper bolsters. There is not a ton of cutout for the lock bar, but from the angle that I push my finger at it, I can still come from the side somehow. It is textured a little bit, bowled out a little bit, and it works just perfectly fine. And it's super comfortable. I love these slightly thicker lock bars where they're really comfortable. This is wonderful. It's got a lock bar insert. Got some fantastic, perfect carbon fiber. I mean, the transitions are really good. They're not perfect, but they're really good. And the carbon fiber is absolutely gorgeous on this thing. Your pocket clip is not deep carry, but it's pretty close to it. Good tension, but not too much. Continuous rise, it works good in and out of the pocket. There's no doubt about that. I've not had any problems with this. And it's nice, it's simple, it's just very plain, but it's not too long. It feels wonderful in the hand. You barely feel it at all in the standard position. At least I do. And it basically disappears in the choke-up position. And what you feel just kind of feels like part of the knife. It's not that big of a deal. Big old, not geared, I guess this is jimped backspacer, kind of, that looks crowned. That wraps all the way around. I don't know why, I do like the backspacer. And, hold on. This knife is on bearings, if you hadn't noticed. The action is amazing. It came, both of them, both the previous one and this one came this way, out of the box. No play in any direction. I checked. Amazing action. And centered. The other one was a tiny hair off center when it came out of the box. I tweaked it, it immediately centered up. I don't think you're going to have a problem with it. Again, Kunwu was pretty good about that. So, this thing functions really well. It's a cutter. It's well designed. Thin. Can I get it to focus on this? I don't know if I can. Thin behind the edge. I think I might actually taper a little bit to get a little tiny bit thicker out at the tip, which is a nice touch. Yeah, it does. It feels a little thicker out at the tip, so it actually tapers a little. Yeah. So you got a tiny bit of extra strength out of the tip, which is nice to see. This is a wonderful, attractive design that has been executed extremely well. And again, this is already a contender for Knife of the Year. Even with the hiccup this that I had, this is awesome. They are unfortunately not available. As I said, they were a limited drop, that pre-order. I'm hoping that they sold well enough to do more. I mean, they sold out, I believe, so. But I'm hoping there's more because these are great. And if we can keep this up, if One Track Mind has other designs that are as cool as this, I'm very much there looking forward, and I will 100% be a fan that will be getting more of their knives. I want to mention the price on this was, they hover right around $300. The cheapest one with the micarta and the plain blade is $290. The regular blade that looks like this is $300, and this one was $310. That is an excellent price, as is, again, typical of Kunwu. Their knives are priced quite well. You definitely get your money's worth. I wasn't sure, as them being an OEM, that you'd still be able to get quite as much, meat on the bones left to make a profit on. I really hope this guy made a profit. But the price is extremely appropriate. This definitely hits the mark of a quality $300 knife. This hits the mark of almost Riot precision. It's got better action than a lot of Riot. Riot tend to be a little bit tighter out of the box often. But quality-wise, it's a knockout of the park. I really like this knife. I had a pleasant conversation, just a short little email back and forth with the guy who owns the company. And I'm happy to say that my expectations were met and exceeded. This is good. It's a little hard to photograph on a black background. That's the only complaint. That's not a complaint. All right. That's all. This is a great one. Watch out for these guys. Check them out. I'll link their Instagram and their... The Instagram should be sufficient. I'll link everything, but see you later. Thanks for watching.